The Chiefs didn't lose. They got the kicked.
They did.
I mean, they got
it handed
stomped.
to them.
They got stomped. They got it handed to them. And to see Patrick Mahomes sitting on the bench, just draped in humility, it was like you saw Travis Kelce's like, ain't nothing we could do. And you know, the offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs got destroyed.
They were untouchable. For 5 straight years, the Kansas City Chiefs weren't just the best. They were the blueprint. They turned the NFL into their own personal stage, and week after week, they performed a symphony of brilliance. The offense moved like jazz, improvisational, unpredictable, mesmerizing. Mahomes was the conductor, launching sidearm lasers across his body, escaping collapsing pockets with balletic footwork, rewriting what the quarterback position could be with every flick of his wrist. On the sideline stood Andy Reid, grinning like a mad scientist, dialing up misdirection and magic, turning red zone chaos into calculated art. And beside Mahomes, like a shadow that could read his mind, was Travis Kelce, the weapon who didn't just catch balls but shattered defenses. Together, they weren't just beating teams, they were redefining dominance. They were an empire wrapped in shoulder pads. They made the miraculous feel mundane. Down 10, not a problem. 30 seconds left and 80 yards to go. Easy, 4th and forever. Watch this. There was a time, not long ago, when no lead was safe, when opposing fans sat in terrified silence and broadcasters ran out of adjectives. The Chiefs weren't just feared, they were assumed. Their reign felt eternal. Their run felt immune to the grind of time, the weight of contracts, the pull of parity. They made other dynasties look mortal. For a moment, the NFL world truly believed that this team might be the first to never come down. But no kingdom stands forever, and the fall, when it begins, is rarely announced by fireworks or disaster. It starts in silence, in small moments, a missed throw, a failed drive, a fracture in rhythm so minor that it's almost easy to ignore, until the cracks begin to spread. And now, after a jarring, sobering defeat in Super Bowl 59 against an Eagles team that looked hungrier, faster, more complete, the whispers have turned into questions, the questions into worry, and the worry into a looming reality. Is the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty fading? It didn't implode. There was no dramatic collapse. Dynasties don't crash, they erode. The edge dulls, the execution slips, the aura fades, and suddenly, the team that once bent the game to its will finds itself playing from behind, not just on the scoreboard, but in identity, in energy, in belief. The Eagles didn't just beat the Chiefs in that Super Bowl, they exposed them. They overwhelmed the offensive line, suffocated the receivers, rattled Mahomes, and drained the air from a team that once inhaled pressure like oxygen. And perhaps no player embodies this slow descent more than Travis Kelce. For nearly a decade, Kelce wasn't just a tight end, he was the tight end, a unicorn who outran linebackers, outmuscled corners, and outthought safeties. He was the spark that ignited chaos, the player Mahomes trusted most when everything else collapsed. But time, as it always does, has arrived. In 2024, Kelce's numbers dropped. His routes weren't as crisp, his separation wasn't automatic, and in the biggest game of his career, he disappeared when they needed him to rise. Just 4 catches, no fireworks, no clutch fourth quarter miracle. Chiefs GM Brett Veach didn't hide from the truth. This might be it, he said, not with malice, but with the weary honesty of a man watching a golden chapter close. And if Kelce truly is reaching the twilight, the implications go far beyond statistics. He's the heartbeat, the big brother, the voice behind the curtain that keeps the locker room from fracturing. Losing that presence isn't just subtraction, it's destabilization. And he's not alone in the twilight. Chris Jones, the warhorse on defense, remains a menace, but he's not the nightly nightmare he once was. The snaps are fewer, the dominance comes in flashes, not floods, and Mahomes, still otherworldly, felt for the first time constrained, trapped. His offensive line, once rebuilt into a wall of protection, buckled when the lights were brightest. His receivers dropped passes, routes took too long, and even his magic, that otherworldly brilliance that made the impossible look inevitable, began to flicker under the weight of frustration. But it's not just the body, it's the books. The cap space is suffocating. $11.5 million. That's all that's left. And in today's NFL, that's not depth, that's duct tape. It means letting go of crucial talent. It means saying goodbye to players who earned their place. L'Jarius Sneed is gone. Not because he failed, but because the budget couldn't breathe. The offensive line, about to fracture again. Every move is now a sacrifice. Every signing, a risk. The very system that kept them together is now tearing them apart. They're reportedly eyeing Michael Mayer, the tight end from Las Vegas. A young, capable talent, but replacing Kelce is not about numbers. It's not about size or speed. It's about the unspoken bond that formed between Mahomes and Kelce, the sixth sense, the knowing glance, the backyard instincts in high-stakes warfare. You don't replace that. You just hope to survive its absence. And so, the Chiefs pivot to youth, to development, to the draft. It's wise, it's inevitable, but it's dangerous because youth is unpredictable, mistakes multiply, patience is tested, and in Kansas City, patience isn't the culture. Winning is, championships are, and that margin, it's now razor thin. They used to out-talent the league, now they have to outthink it. Meanwhile, the rest of the conference is catching up fast. Joe Burrow and the Bengals no longer blink. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are armed and merciless. CJ Stroud and the Texans are exploding onto the scene. The Jaguars, the Browns, the Bills, they all smell blood. The Chiefs are no longer giants above. They are targets in the center. And that shift, it's mental. Because dynasties don't die in standings, they die in soul. The 2024 season looks strong on paper, 15-2, a playoff berth, a Super Bowl appearance. But watch the tape. The energy was off, the offense sputtered, the swagger wavered. Those 40-point blowouts that used to define them, gone. Each win felt more like a grind, less like destiny. And the loss to the Eagles, it wasn't just a defeat, it was a revelation. The aura is gone. Now they stand at a fork in the road. Is this the end? Not yet. Not with Mahomes still orchestrating from under center. Not with Andy Reid still scripting chaos from the sideline. Not with the defense still ranked among the best. But the path is no longer wide. The margin of error is gone. One wrong move, one draft miss, one injury, one coaching misfire, and the collapse could come faster than anyone expects. They need to adapt, evolve, fast. New playmakers must emerge. The offensive line must be rebuilt again. The schemes must stretch wider. The hunger must return. Because Mahomes, as brilliant as he is, cannot carry a hollowed out roster. He is human. Even gods grow weary. This is not a panic. This is a reckoning. The Kansas City Chiefs dynasty is not dead, but it is wounded, vulnerable, mortal, and the league knows it. The wind is howling through the open window, and the cold is creeping in. If you love the game, if you understand what dynasties truly are, then this is the moment to watch. Are we witnessing the final fade of a golden age, or the brutal birth of something even more dangerous? Because this is where legacies are decided, in silence, in shadows, in how you respond when the lights dim and the crown begins to slip. So hit that like button if you felt the weight of what's coming. Subscribe to the channel if you want to follow the journey. And comment below, is this Mahomes' greatest challenge? Or the beginning of his fall? Because the crown isn't just earned once. You have to fight to keep it every single year. And now, with every headline, every offseason whisper, and every press conference dripping with veiled concern, the questions grow louder. Not just about what the Chiefs are, but about what they've become. You can feel it in the air at Arrowhead, that subtle shift from dominance to doubt, where once there was an invincibility that cloaked the team like armor. Now there are gaps, small but growing, places where the cold wind of reality begins to slip through. The rookies look promising, but promise doesn't buy rings. The veterans still speak with fire, but their bodies don't always follow. And Mahomes still leads with stoic resolve, but there's a weight in his eyes now, the kind only dynasties understand, the weight of being the last line between glory and decline. This team once thrived on inevitability. Fourth quarters belonged to them. Deficits were nothing more than dramatic setups. And Mahomes wasn't just a quarterback. He was the answer to every problem, the cure to every mistake. But in 2024, there were moments, fleeting but real, where even he looked tired, trapped, human, not broken, but burdened. You could see it when he forced throws into tight windows that weren't there. You could feel it when he walked back to the sideline with clenched fists, biting frustration behind his helmet. helmet. The magic, still potent, was now harder to conjure, and the difference between dominance and desperation, just a few inches, a few seconds, a few wrong reads. The coaching staff too is feeling the tremors. Eric Bieniemy's absence still echoes in the room. Andy Reid is still a genius, still a master of offensive design, but even legends must adjust. The trick plays feel less daring now, more desperate. The red zone schemes that once bewildered now seem familiar to defenders. The league, slowly but methodically, has studied the blueprint, and now they're building counters, walls, answers. And Kansas City, they're running out of surprises. The locker room dynamics are shifting as well. Young players are hungry, eager to step in, to shine, to become the next era. But hunger without direction is chaos. Without Kelce's calming presence, who speaks when the storm hits? Who calms the panic after a bad half? Who tells the rookies what it means to wear that jersey, to earn it, not just inherit it? These aren't questions easily answered by statistics or draft boards. They're answered in blood, sweat, and moments of absolute clarity under pressure. And outside that locker room, the noise grows. Analysts who once praised the Chiefs as a dynasty for the ages are beginning to hedge their bets. The Vegas odds no longer default to Kansas City. The fear they once inspired has dulled into challenge. Teams now circle Chiefs week on the calendar not as survival, but as opportunity. The mystique is cracking. But perhaps the most telling sign of all is the feeling, not the numbers, not the tape, the feeling, the one deep in your gut as you watch the game. When Mahomes rolls out and there's a hesitation, half a second too long, when the offensive line collapses and he doesn't scramble, but sags. When the fourth quarter arrives and instead of certainty, you feel a flicker of doubt, the feeling that maybe, just maybe, the ride is slowing, that the greatest show on turf has hit its third act. And yet, this is where legends are forged. Not in the rise, but in the response to the fall. Patrick Mahomes still holds the pen. Andy Reid still writes the chapters. The ink is not dry, not yet. The fire is dimmer, but not out. The road is steeper, but not closed. The dynasty may be trembling, but it still stands. So as the 2025 season looms, the NFL holds its breath. Because this is no longer about whether the Chiefs will win, it's about whether they can adapt, whether they can evolve, whether they can rise again when everyone is watching, waiting, wondering. The crown still rests on their head, but now it weighs more than ever.